Self-determination, this is a training. We've created this training. This is my research focus. You look at the literature out there and it tells us that our students with disabilities are not as determined as their peers without disabilities. And there's a lot of reasons it gives. It'll say it's too hard to include self-determination, development of self-determination activities in our classrooms. Maybe we don't want our students to, this is actually out there, maybe we don't want our students to be self-determined because it'll be harder to keep control of them. That literature is out there. That tells me there's a huge misinterpretation or misunderstanding of what self-determination is, which leads to the next thing is, literature out there says teachers, and I'm going to put parents in that same category. We know it's important, but we really don't know what it is, because self-determination is this concept that has so much in it that we really kind of like we know it when we see it, but I really can't tell you what it is. We've pulled it apart and really focused on exactly what is going on in self-determination and created a training that really helps persons working with our students, because there's the other thing. The literature out there says all these things that we have to do to promote self-determination in our students, but there's nothing out there that says, how do we take it and put it right into the student's hands? How do we help the student understand what it is, why it's important, and if they want to do anything in life, they have to know how to use these 9 skills to the best, because these are the skills you, myself, every person that's breathing, use from the minute we open our eyes till we close them at night. We are using those skills. So much we do is on autopilot. We don't stop to think what we just did, but if we did and pulled it apart, we did use the skills of self-determination. Self-determination, again, this is a training, but you're going to get a real fast around the world in 80 days. Self-determination are these 9 skills that we use in different quantities and different combinations, but we use them all together. I call it my cake. My cake has 9 ingredients. I just had a college professor want me to come in to one of his classes, but he only wanted me to talk about self-efficacy, and I said I will not. Because you can't understand self-efficacy if you don't understand the other 8 ingredients. Your cake will not be good with only 1 ingredient. He went away a little bit mad at me, because he's like, well, no, I don't buy it. And I'm like, then don't ask me, because it's all 9 together. Problem solving. The training that we do, we really get in there and dig that problem solving actually has 5 steps within problem solving. And the training is to help us in the environment understand what's going on, so that, and my mentors that work in my program, my staff, they get so good at this that they can watch a student and say, I know what they're in. They're problem solving and they're stuck on step number 3. How can I come alongside and nudge or provide another opportunity to help that student continue to move forward? It is possible. And when you get this and begin to look at everything that you do with the student through the lens of self-determination, it actually makes your classroom times easier. Sounds maybe counterintuitive. You don't have to do anything special. You just have to be watching for what's happening. Problem solving, in its short version, is being able to identify what it is that you want to change. Often we look at problem solving as a negative word. It must be something bad. We need a bad habit. No, problem solving is what it is that you want to do. What is it you want to change? Once you've defined and identified what that is, you roll into choice making. Choice making is not saying, do you want the Pepsi or do you want the Coke? So often that's what I see that people understand that choice making is I'm letting them act as self-determined persons, because I'm letting them choose apple or orange. That is not self-determination, that is manipulation, because you've made the choices. You have not helped them go through the process of learning what's going on underneath to make those changes. So choice making, all it is coming up with ideas. Put as many ideas in your bucket as you can. It is not a time that we say, no, that won't work, or that's not a good idea. It's just brainstorming if you must with others, but you're only putting ideas. And boy, parents and teachers, if you can help your student begin to do that without you providing any wise pros and cons, because when you start doing pros and cons, you've moved into decision making. Once you have your choices, your ideas in your bucket, and you must have at least two. If you only have one, not a choice, must have at least two. The more, the better. And then you pull out one idea, and now you weigh the pros and cons. Lay it down. Pull out the next one, weigh the pros and cons. When you're done, you look at all of your decisions, all the pros and cons, and you pick one. Now we're in decision making, finishing it up. You pick one. This is what I want to start. And boy, I don't care if, unless it's a major safety issue, even if you know that there was a better option, you don't say it. Because your student must be able to act that decision out and see the benefits or missed the mark for themselves. I don't know about you, and what we're talking here is dignity of risk. I don't know about you, but the best lessons that I ever learned was when I did something and I did it wrong. And I had to learn from it, even if it hurt. Even if emotionally it hurt and I cried. I deserved that opportunity to learn for myself, and your student deserves the same. Because it's by trying things out and learning from it is when we make that lasting change. Once you've picked that and you said, this is the one that I want to do, you turn that into a goal statement. I will, whatever it was that decision was, I will do this. During goal setting, you also break it down into your steps. Set up your plan. And then you begin to self-regulate. As you're working towards reaching your goal, you're regulating or monitoring your behavior. Are you on track? Are you going to reach? These are all behaviors we're talking about. The last behavior is self-advocacy. Are you able to use your resources to accomplish what you want to do? Do you know what your resources are? Are you able to speak why you want this and in the time that you need it? Those are the 7 behaviors, and now the last 2 are attitudes. And boy, we know with our students that those abstract concepts are so hard, which is why self-determination can be hard at first. The last 2 are attitudes. Self-efficacy is as your student begins to do things for themselves and they're gaining confidence and realizing that they can make these achievements, maybe small at first, but they're beginning to build. That's when self-efficacy, or the belief in yourself, the belief that you can take on challenges a little bit harder than where you currently are. Keep those expectations high, and boy, there's a killer. We were asked in our program, faculty and I, and from parents that said, you have high expectations. We do. When do you realize your student can't do it and you lower them? And I say we never do. All we do is continue to support and encourage and keep your eye on the ball and keep your expectations high and do everything you can. Now, will the student maybe reach everything? Perhaps not, but they're going to go a heck of a lot further by having it. You get what you expect. If you lower your expectations, they'll lower their performance. And we see our students doing some amazing things. And our first cohort that graduated are working. 14%, it fluctuates a little bit, but the national average for our students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, 1 year after they graduate from high school, only 14% are working. national averages. Pretty dismal. Our first cohort that graduated in May of 2015, we had 18 of the 20 that started our pilot program graduated. That's pretty amazing. One dropped out, the other one had health issues, and he will finish up this fall, so we will have 19 have graduated. Of those group that had graduated, 84% of them are working in part to full-time employment and competitive wages. Many of them in the field that they've chosen. We had two wanted to work as a teacher's aide, and we know in Ohio you have to have a paraprofessional certificate, but we found a way to get around that by getting them connected to temp services that don't require that, and then they get to go into schools and work, and they've done such an amazing job that one of them's working full-time now through the temp service, but doing what she loves and getting paid to do it. And there's many other examples I could give you, but what we need is longitudinal. We need research over time. Were they able to maintain 1, 3, 5 years? Can they continue to do that? We don't know that because these programs in this country are new enough. We're just getting that data, but I think it's promising. We're seeing some great. 5 of those original 18 that graduated are living in their own apartments. They need some supports. We've done a work really hard to help our students become aware of, I said, their spins, and to be able to spend time matching to get what job do you want to match a realistic match. We have students that come in, and one said they wanted to be a jet pilot. Great! Yes! Let's first learn what your spins are. And then let's learn what it's going to take to be a jet pilot. Now you lay the skills you need to be a jet pilot. Which list does it match? Till they come to the understanding, the self-awareness of, okay, I might not be able to be a jet pilot, but how close to the jet can I get? Now, we got something to work with. It is not up to us to tell them what they can or can't do, but it is up to us to provide the opportunities for them to become aware of themselves so that they begin to make better decisions for themselves. And so for that reason, it's not an accident that self-awareness is encasing all of the other skills, because without it, there is no hope for change. Students must have a good sense of self. This is the blue and the green model of self-determination. You cannot read a book and be self-determined. To be a self-determined person, you must have an interaction, a hands-on interaction with something you're doing with your environment. That's why opportunities are so important. And remember I said earlier that our students with disabilities are not provided the same opportunities. And if you don't have those opportunities, it could be something of the most simplest thing to something great, a greater opportunity. But if we don't flood them with opportunities, they will not be self-determined. Because it's through those opportunities that the student, the person gaining, and you know, I'm talking about students being in here, but it could be you. This is everybody. All of us use these skills, and we're never perfect throughout our entire life. It's always an endeavor. When it came to developing a program or finishing my degrees, I am probably one of the most self-determined persons that you could ever meet. But darn it, I cannot stick to a diet worth anything. I'm missing self-regulation. I could set the goal, and I know the reason why I need to. But boy, when that cake or brownie is sitting on the counter, there is not much monitoring going on. Okay? So, when we have lots of opportunities, from those opportunities we gain knowledge. And now we can make some decisions about that knowledge. And when we're making that decision of saying, this is something that's interesting, it becomes meaningful to me, meaningful to your student. And it isn't until it comes to that attitude of readiness, or this means something to me, it's only then that we can start developing skills. We can work with them all day long to say, you need these skills, you need to have these skills, but if they don't know why it's meaningful to them, it's not going to be developed to the depth that makes lasting, lifelong changes or skills. But as the skills begin to develop, and then more opportunities, more knowledge, more meaningful, and that begins to circle, begins to spin. What's happening on the outside is the green, and that's all of us. We are the environment. And our job is to provide and flood with the opportunities, to provide that feedback, to say, do you know what you're doing right now? You're problem solving. You just set a goal. You just reached a goal. It's our job to promote awareness of what they are doing until they can finally recognize, this is what I am doing. Providing access to social networks and more opportunities. And so we're kind of spinning too. But nowhere do you see the green or the blue touching. You want to know what pisses me off with my husband so fast? I'll be trying to open the pickle jar, and I'm struggling. And he reaches in and takes that jar out of my hand, opens it up, and there you go, honey. Now, he loves me. He wants the best for me. What's that?
You loosened it. That's how he got it open.
Well, he wouldn't take that. He probably wouldn't say that I loosened it and got it ready for him. But I get mad because I didn't ask for his help. He just reached in and took it. He reached into my blue. We may really love we love our children, we love our students. And with the best of intentions, we're reaching in, thinking we're helping. But what you're actually doing is giving the subconscious messages, I don't think you can do this. And boy, you want to know what's damaging? Is that I was talking to a dad and his son that he came in just last week, and he had just heard about the program, and he came in and wanted to hear more. And when I told him this, it got real quiet. And he looked at his son and he says, do I do that? And his son said, yes, you do. And he says, do I make you feel like that? And he says, yes. I don't think you think I can do things. There were some tears shed that day. But Dad loves, you love your kids. But are you giving the message, I don't think you can? So leave my pickle jar alone. Now, if I get to the point that I can say, husband, strong man of mine, would you please help me with my pickle jar? I've invited him into my blue. That's different. Because I was aware I'm struggling. I'm aware I'm going to need a resource to help me do this. And since he's right there, he's my resource. And I've invited him in to help me. That is completely different than grabbing it out of my hands. So if I leave you with no other thought today, if you're grabbing and you're doing for without allowing the student a chance to become aware of what they are doing, why they might need help, but there's nothing wrong with letting them struggle until they get it. I have a video. I wish, you got to have me come back. I have videos that we'll watch. Like if you were going through the training, we'll talk about a particular one problem solving. We'll talk about it. We'll look at all the steps, and then we'll watch some videos so that you could say, I see it right there. It's pretty powerful. But there's a video of a young boy trying to learn how to tie his shoes. And he's struggling, and he's got him on the wrong feet. And you could just see what's going on. How many times when our kids are little that we just grab them and they're trying to learn how to tie their shoes and we don't have time. We got to go. Let me tie them and let's go. And we lost the opportunity to say, let's just slow it down for the moment and let it unfold. Don't take the chance to go and buy zipper shoes. Just slow down the moment. Slow the learning moment down and let it unfold. You're going to be amazed at what you see. But you have to do some of Ron's meditation sometimes, maybe while you're waiting that, because it takes patience to do that. I have so much I would love to share with you. And I would love to share with some of the victorious things that we're seeing and some of the heartbreaking things that we're seeing with our students who have come to us and lacking. Technology skills. I don't understand this, but every student that has come to us in the program have not had technology skills. They may be able to do social media, might be able to play video games, things like that, but to use a computer, to be able to do the things that you need to use it to write a thank you note after an employer has taken the time to interview you. Or let's just talk about when's the last time you filled out you applied for a job and the application wasn't online. Boy, if you want anything for an IEP goal is get them involved as much as you can in as many computer, because it's not going away. As much as I'd like it to, I can't even run this little pusher button thing. All right. Oh man, I could talk. We should have brought our pajamas and we should have just settled in for the night, but well, the last thing I said was because the green is surrounding the blue, we can give the blue some leeway to move. If they get too off center, too unsafe, they're going to run into us and we can bounce them back, but we must give them that chance to wiggle a little bit. As we gain confidence and as they gain confidence, self-efficacy, we can widen that green out wider and wider till they have more opportunities to make decisions and do that. But that's a process, but we've got to start it. Sorry. 5 minutes over. I have pamphlets here if you want for the program.